Okay, everybody. Yes, we are live right now. It is 1:44 p.m. on this Thursday afternoon, Wednesday, I should say, afternoon. I got a little ahead of myself. But yes, it's 1:44 p.m., or actually 1:45 p.m. right now. Um, basically, I have today off. It is Wednesday. And unless things change, I'll be having the next couple of Wednesdays off, which is next Wednesday and the Wednesday after. Uh, basically, once again, I think it just has to deal with a lot of situations going on. I think it's more of a tax situation, money situation, to where basically, if I adjust my mic here, just my headset here, where basically I think my job, and I don't think it's just my job here in town, but I think elsewhere has to cut back on a lot of things because of the fact that right now, like I said, it is tax season, so we are basically, like I said, in the process of trying. Again, just my opinion. My job's basically in the process of trying to balance the books, get ready to file the taxes, make sure they, have it all done financially and financially correctly. I should say, easy for me to say. Before they can be before they can probably put probably balance out the schedules again, get things back on track. Because if you, when it comes to tax season or the stock market, and you want to balance out, you want to make sure you have something to rebuild your finances on, then cutting hours and all that's the only way, I guess. So it's just, again, just an opinion, not saying it's entirely true. Not saying that that's entirely true whatsoever. But anyway, though, we are here to do a Topics on My Mind video. Yes, we're here to do Topics on My Mind. And hello, that fan 18. Nice to see you in the chat. But the topics we're going to talk about today, the 6 topics we're going to talk about are, and I did just do a little something there. But the topics we're going to talk about today, the 6 topics we're going to talk about are: 1, a true uncensored footage of explicit scenes in Interspecies Reviewers are making the rounds online. That's interesting. Matter of fact, somebody that I am subscribed to, as I just take care of an itch there, but someone I am subscribed to basically revealed some footage that they found at various websites that someone had posted online. Basically, this is the truly uncensored version of some explicit scenes in, I think it's episode 3 from what they're saying, of Interspecies Reviewers, the anime that's really gotten a lot of people up in a roar. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the recent Ken Penders interview that Midnight Edge here on YouTube recently did in 3 parts. I think it's 3 to 4 parts. I think it's 3 parts from what I understand. The 3rd part is yet to be uploaded. They obviously did this interview with Ken via Skype or something like that. I don't really know, or privately, and now they're just posting it online. It's in 3 parts. The first part is about around 1 hour, just around a little under 1 hour, and it talks about Ken's involvement in the comics and a lot of the situations there. The second part goes into his final days at Archie, as well as the impending lawsuit that came after. And then the movie one is going to be possibly later on. So, I will say that it's hot, that if you want to hear his side of things, I recommend trying to check it out. Number 3, it's kind of a continuation of a live stream I did yesterday after work, and that is customers needing to understand that employees/associates/managers are doing their best. Let me correct that. Well, actually, I have to correct the other one. are doing their best to serve them. Yes. Customers needing to understand that employees slash associates slash managers are doing the best to serve them. So there's that. I will talk about that. It's kind of continuation of what I talked about after work yesterday. Number 4, this is interesting. I didn't think I'd be talking about it, but since just Alex, aka formerly Delexman on YouTube, recently mentioned this, I thought I would talk about it. Number 4 in the topics on my mind is the government strikes again when it comes to taking folks' hard-earned tax return away from them when they shouldn't. Yes, we're going to get into that. Number 5. The number 5 topic is, should movies slash TV slash animation studios, along with fighting promotions like UFC, WWE, etc., and video game studios like Activision, Ubisoft, EA, you name it, should, 2K, NetherRealms, should they listen to their fans? And then number 6, speaking of fans, number 6, the final topic will be about fans taking the future of a franchise or any part of it into their hands to help continue for many years to come. I have to retype that, a lot of that right there. So yeah, basically that is the discussion right there. Those are the topics we are going to tackle here today on this Wednesday afternoon. It is about, ladies and gentlemen, about 72 degrees outside, 73 most likely here in Newman. As a matter of fact, let me check my phone. That should give me some accurate temperatures to the best of my knowledge. So let me check my phone here. And we're going to refresh this. Is it about 77 degrees? Yes, it's about 77 degrees outside today, right now, almost 80, very spring-like weather. Oh, what am I saying? It is spring-like weather, which definitely means we're going to get a warm spring and a very hot summer. Yes. We're going to get a very warm spring and a very hot summer. So prepare for that as the year goes on here in 2020. But right now, again, let's talk about the first topic on the menu, if you will. And that is the true uncensored footage of explicit scenes in Interspecies Reviewers making the rounds online. Okay, so in case you guys don't know, just a quick recap. Interspecies online, Interspecies Reviewers, I'm saying. Interspecies Reviewers, what I'm saying, is an anime, pretty much a hentai, if you will, that was adapted. That basically, well, originally Interspecies Reviewers was a manga, a very explicit manga. It centered around some characters, mostly male characters, that would go from one erotic establishment to another, from town to town, and basically review and judge who had the best, I guess you could say, waifus among them, or as some people put it, prostitutes, or whatever you want to call them. Excuse me there, I don't mean no offense by that, but you get the idea. Basically, they were judging women on how much they could give, if you know what I'm saying. Well, apparently somebody on Twitter posted some additional footage, if you will, very explicit footage from the anime. Mostly from what they described was episode 3. Episode three's plot, from what has been making the rounds, and this is one of the episodes to where I think Funimation and Tokyo MX and many other streaming services that were hosting this site, this I think was one of the episodes where they said, this is not what we thought it was. Off it goes, off it comes. This episode, from what has been described, is the episode where our male protagonist, I guess you can call him that, they go to this one establishment, but the only way they could judge and review and critique whether or not the service there is good is they got to drink a potion that makes them go through a gender change. Yeah, in other words, the establishment will only let them review stuff if they spend a full 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever it is, as women. So yeah, they got to spend at least a day or a day and a half as a woman and experience special privileges as a woman, or or at least experience the service like a woman. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, basically, this person released this stuff on released this footage online, and basically, excuse me, basically, as I'm just trying to hold on a second here, do something here. Hold on. Basically showed in that episode, like I said, this is, I believe, in my opinion, I believe this was the episode that this, along with episode 4, these were the episodes that made a lot of the services that were carrying it, from Funimation, Amazon, Tokyo MX, and several others, to pull it, because this was way beyond what they were expecting. Basically, the scenes that were shown from this episode were the very explicit hentai kind. In other words, let's just say, with the exception of one uncensored scene kind of being blurred out or digitized out or whatever you want to call it, in with a certain area of the body, kind of like blurred out, digitized out, blocked out, kind of like Atari blocked out. Let's put it that way, graphically, which is best I can call it. But basically, there's this two scenes. There were two scenes that were in this manner, and apparently, what I'm trying to get at, apparently, what people had seen previously was dubbed uncensored, was dubbed probably what you're going to get at best. But what they ended up seeing here was more than that. Let's just say everything was not off limits. Basically, everything was viewable. We'll put it that way. So when this footage was leaked, or not leaked, but posted online, a lot of people started to kind of understand, even those that still are behind Interspecies Reviewers and still support it and still look at it as an anime that you need to see for your own eyes, or with your own eyes. Some of those people even started to some of those people, what I'm trying to say, started to understand, oh, okay, even though we like this anime and we think it should be given a chance, because, Funimation showcases stuff that is just as explicit, if not raunchy in some area, or a little bit more raunchy in some areas. They can now understand, or at least they're mentioning that they now understand why it was pulled, because pretty much the scene which is shown online from this episode, which again I think is one of the episodes that caused the series to be pulled, uh, it doesn't hide anything. It goes all the way. It goes all the way. It shows you the outside. It shows you the outs, the outsides. I'll put it this way: it shows you the outs, and literally, as clean as I can say, it shows you the ends. If you catch my if you catch my drift, it shows you what's happening on the outside, and it most definitely shows you what's happening on the inside. If you catch my drift, and I'm not trying to be mean or insulting or offensive, but that's what it does. That's what it's doing. It's showing you basically what's happening on the outside as well as legitimately on the inside. So basically, yeah. So basically, yeah, it's like now you kind of understand probably why the anime was pulled. Again, a lot of people are basically saying that a lot of people are saying that basically the anime shouldn't have been pulled. That Funimation has been known to do or showcase a lot more raunchiness out there, a lot more risky material. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that they've never done that. But I think we can now all see why why this was dropped. I think we can all see that now. I think we could all honestly see why this was dropped. You know, it's not because of the fact that it should have not because it was, you know, not within the standards of not within Funimation standards as they put it, but now we kind of see maybe one of the reasons. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, now we see like one of the legit reasons as to why it was pulled. But anyway though, yeah, that's what surprised me this morning. I go on Twitter, I go on Twitter, I go on Facebook, I go on all kinds of social media, and this is what I see. This is what I find out about. And again, it surprises me in a sense that I shouldn't be surprised because I already know, the reputation this thing has. And but but honestly, when you look at it, but honestly, when you see this, and then but then when you see this footage being released and leaked online, it gives you pause, if you know what I mean. It gives you pause to think, okay, I can understand why people feel it should remain, but now I can see why it was removed. You know what I'm saying? Now you can kind of see why it was removed. And I don't know if it's that here. Like I said, now you kind of see why it was removed, because apparently the most explicitness, because apparently it's in, I think the people in charge of Funimation saw the most explicit side of things, if you know what I mean. But yeah, that's what's making the rounds right now. That's what's making the rounds right now. The fact that this scene The fact that this scene, oh, these scene, what I'm trying to say is I'm trying to link this up to other places. The fact that this scene is more, this scene from episode 3, from what people have said before about it, is more explicit than they thought. And obviously, this is the scene, and this is one of the reasons, if not the main reason, the show was pulled. So, yeah, apparently now I kind of get the idea as to why the show was pulled. Um, when it was, because I think now it's more clearer that the people at Funimation, Tokyo MX, Amazon Prime, and all of them saw the more explicit version, and like I said, kind of realized, oops, this is not exactly what we were thinking it would be. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Basically, not really much to go on about that any more than I've already talked about. But yeah, apparently, uh, you can now kind of see exactly why this anime was pulled when it was, and exactly how explicit it really is in some areas. So anyway, though, with that said, though, guys, let's move on to our next topic. Like I said as much as I can there. I was a little distracted just linking this up on Facebook and Twitter and all that. But yeah, basically somebody posted online, um, on the truly uncensored version of episode 3's scene, intimate scene, if you will. And apparently that's, and again, in my opinion, I think that was enough for Funimation. That right there, I think, caused Funimation to say, this ain't happening. So, along with some other services as well. Now, with that said, let's move on to our next topic. It is the recent interview that Midnight Edge did with Ken Penders. Yes, it's a 3-part interview. The first 2 parts are up online. The next part still has to be released. But it is I'll put it this way. This interview by Ken Penders, if we get into the second topic here about it, I'm going to talk about the key points in this interview. But I'll put it this way. Basically, excuse me there. Honestly, despite whether or not you like Ken Penders and agree with some of the actions he's done, this interview is actually very informative, because you find out about things that, even though you think you know the whole, trying to find my words here. What I'm trying to say is you find out about things that you think you knew about. You think you knew all the answers to. You think you knew you had all the answers to, but yet you find out that there was more to it. That's what I was trying to get at. Basically, the interview is very informative, and like I said, it makes you think about some of the information you've already heard about. And just when you think, oh, I've known all about that, I knew everything about that before this interview happened, guess what? You find out that there was more to that that situation than meets the eye. That's what you find out. You find out that there was more going on there than what was being let on. So, anyway, like I said, the Pendas interview, like I said, it's very informative. It's very, very informative, because, like I said, you find out about a lot of things during his time. Like, you find out how he started. and everything, with DC and I think Marvel drawing and all that, and how he, as he puts it, whether you believe him or not, how he was approached to come on board, basically to work on the comic. And it's very, like I said, it's very informative, very interesting. Um, you find out a lot about what happened behind the scenes, means the goods, the bads, and in the positive. Yeah, that's what it is. The goods, the bads, the in betweens. You find out from his perspective a lot of what happened, going into this comic. As a matter of fact, what one thing he did mention, which was really interesting, was when they got to the Princess Sally miniseries, they were building up to it. And apparently around this time, they were going to, I guess, you have to watch the interview yourself. You watch the first part. It's at Midnight Edge's YouTube channel. But basically, the portion where they talk about the Princess Sally miniseries, from what I'm getting, is the miniseries, along with the In Your Face 48-page special that preceded it, and what was it, the 3-part mini story that occurred from, I think, issues 16, 17, and 18, or mostly 17 and 18. According to Ken Penders, this was all going to possibly lead, and we could be wrong about this, but this is what Penders said. This was all possibly going to lead to a Princess Sally video game. Yeah. From what Penders pointed out, this is one of the key points in there that I want to bring up. He brought up the fact that basically the idea was for Sega to create a Sally video game, because Sally was going to be the equivalent, I guess you could say, of what She-Ra, the original She-Ra, was for the girls when it came to like He-Man being for the boys. In other words, Sally was going to be the Sonic for the girls, and Sonic was going to be for the boys. Well, at least that's what I was getting at. That's the vibe I'm getting. Basically, that Sally was going to be that key figure they needed to target the female demographic and bring it in. So that's why, we got the mini stories that we did. We got the 48-page special and Sonic in Your Face when we did. And that's why we got the mini series. I don't know who that is. It says it's from Newman, but I don't know who that is. Anyway, though, like I said, what was I before that phone interruption? Oh, yeah. Basically, Sally was going to be the key figure that was going to bring in that girl demographic, that female demographic, which is why we got everything that we did at that time, which is why we got the mini arc or mini story we got in the back pages of issues 17 and 18, which is why we got the Sonic in Your Face 48-page special, and then the 3-part Princess Sally miniseries comic, because according to Ken Penders, that was going to lead us, or that was going to persuade or at least lead Sega into possibly creating a Sally video game. And I guess that would have made sense. I can't really say. I can't really say whether or not that would make sense. No problem, Miguel, if you're watching. But anyway, though, like I said, basically, Penders, that's what Pender said. He's basically said that, um, that was what was going to lead into, you know, oh, that was, well, a little easy for me to say. Got a little distracted because of the phone call and all that. But basically, that's what was going to be the possibility, that Sally was going to get a video game, and that's why we got all the stories that we did from the mini stories, in the back of issues 17 and 18, the the In Your Face 48-page special, the 3-part miniseries solo comic. And it was very intriguing. The interview is very intriguing. You have to watch this for yourself. You can find it at Midnight Edge's YouTube page. But basically, it's very informative, because he even brings up the fact that when they were working on the Sally miniseries, and we've heard about this before, but one of the ideas that he wanted to go with when it came to the miniseries was for Sally to meet her mother. Well, actually, they had two things in mind. Sally was going to meet her mom, or Sally and Bunny were going to do a Thelma and Louise kind of like scenario. And Sega shot both those ideas down, and they came up with the last ditch effort to possibly get Sega to okay a Sally story, which Sega was going to do anyway, apparently, but to really okay them and sell them on was basically was going to be Sally, Jeffrey St. John, and a group of trainees being the next generation of freedom fighters. And apparently, the reason this was okay was because, according to Ken Penders, Sega said, "Fine, you could use Sally and you could use Robotnik, but you can't use anybody else." Okay, fine, no problem, no problem. And this would honestly, guys, explain why, when you look at Sally later on, in the comics, especially like when in the first few pages of Tales miniseries, you notice she always has her own logo. Like Sonic has his own logo, Knuckles has his, Tails has his, Amy has hers. And then later on, the others had theirs as well, just for like Pacific super special issues and all that. But outside of that, the only other character that had one that seemed like it belonged like on a video game was Sally. Sally was the only one that had that. We wouldn't see that for like Bunny or Lupe or Rhoda or Antoine until way later on. Sally had it as early as around, I would say, the issue 30th, when they were in the 30th issue mark of the series. That's when her logo appeared, and that kind of makes you realize, hey, that makes what Ken Penders is saying here, despite whether or not I believe the guy, that kind of makes sense. That kind of makes sense that, okay, Sally was going to get her own spin-off in many ways. I mean, again, when you think about it, whether you believe Ken Penders or you don't, it makes sense as to why Sally got, a lot of merchandise with Sonic Live in Sydney, and became basically a Sega game character, but not in the games. So, yeah, really interesting, really intriguing. But besides that, he also brought up some other things too, other key points. He brought up Antoine, and this was really interesting. He said that they would get email. They would get mail all the time, from the fans. Easy for me to say. They would get mail all the time from the fans. And, excuse me, like I said, they would get mail all the time from the fans. And apparently, these fans were very vocal about Antoine. They did not like Antoine. They wanted Antoine, gone, if you know what I mean. They wanted him gone. They wanted him out of the picture. They felt he wasn't necessary. He was annoying, stuff like that. They wanted him gone. They wanted him out. They wanted him gone. And Ken decided, you know what? I'm not going to kill Antoine off despite what they feel. I'm going to do something that's going to be the reverse of that. I'm going to do the opposite of that. And what did he do? What did he do? He ended up basically putting Antoine with Bunny, because it's like, hey, if Bunny likes him and Bunny can find something good within him, maybe he's not that bad. And that's exactly what happened. Now, he didn't mention Sally's death or anything in Endgame, but he did mention the fact that, comic books based on franchises of any kind, video games, cartoons, whatever, they don't last too long. So basically, long story short, they were all running up, they were all coming up with a scenario and ideas for the final 50th issue, or what they thought would be. And that's why we ended up getting, I guess, some of the scenarios we did. And Penders said that it was during the time that they were working on Endgame that they started getting the idea of, okay, maybe the comic's going to remain for a lot longer than we thought. So, again, these are all good key points. He even mentions that when they got to, I would say, what was it, around, I don't know, he basically said when they got to around the, I would guess the Sally issue, the beginnings of the Sally issues and all that, he had pitched the idea to kind of take what the standard formula was of the comic at the time, which was a hybrid of the Saturday morning characters in the world of adventure Sonic, if you will, and kind of start making it into more of a SatAM like property. And he made a suggestion, I think, around the time they were working on the Sally stuff, that he wanted to go in that direction, and they were cool with it. I guess they were okay with it, and they decided to let him have a shot at it. So, that's what he did. He had a shot at it, and it proved to be obviously a success, despite how you might feel about the guy. Anyway, though, he brings all that up, and then when you get into the second part of the interview, he brings up the fact that, well, he brings up the lawsuit and everything, right? So he brings up the lawsuit. He brings up some other things. He brings up the whole Antoine Sally marriage thing, and how that was basically because it's based on, the storyline of that's what Sally's father wanted, stuff like that. And that was the story, the final full story that he did, called Line of Succession. He also mentions that when they were starting to focus on bringing Knuckles in with his own stuff, he was given a choice. Do you want to be on Knuckles? Do you want to be on Sonic? And he wanted to go with Knuckles because basically to him, Knuckles was, with a few exceptions here and there, a blank slate. It was a blank canvas to apply his craft on, and that's what he did. He applied his craft, and the rest is history. And he also found a way to connect it somewhat with Sally as well. Like, you when, crafting Knuckles' background and everything, which I think he said he took an example from places like, what was it, Star Trek or something? I don't know. Basically, he knew that if he was going to craft, Knuckles' backstory, his family and all that, and obviously by now it's been played up that Sally and Knuckles have a history together, that you also have to do the same thing with, her family, and build up, the connection and whatnot with their families. But anyway, Ken basically went into a lot of that stuff, and it's the best I can summarize without watching the interview. But then he comes up and brings up the first tiff he had with one of the new editors in chiefs. I think the guy's name was James or Justin. and that caused him to leave for a while. And then the same guy they had a tiff with called him back up, said, "Hey, can you come back? What's it going to take you to come back and help?" And I said what it was going to take, and that's what made him come back. Uh, but then after he had left, because he wanted to basically put a closure on his run there and move on to other things, he was getting more into animation apparently. He basically said around, I would say, basically around the time Sonic Chronicles came out, well, a little before Chronicles was coming out. I think it's when they were getting ready to develop, create it and all that. That being BioWare and Sega. Uh, According to Ken Penders, a guy from BioWare approached his booth when he was not there, and the only people there were his wife Bernadette and and his son. And he wanted to talk to Ken about probably working on a book or working on the game or something like that. So Ken's not there, and the guy basically, I guess, talked to the wife, talked to the son to find out more about, this world or something. But he wanted to also talk to Ken. So long story short, Ken finds out that Sonic Chronicles, and it was right on BioWare's webpage, according to what he said. Sonic Chronicles was based off of his material, and he even says if you look at BioWare's webpage at that time, it basically credits him and his ideas. Um, but yeah, he basically says that apparently whoever this individual was wanted to talk to him and try to get something going on or something, and that's when the lawsuit started to happen. That's when he started to file for copyrights and all that. Just go through the whole 9 yards. Now, I haven't finished the second part yet. I will say that I haven't watched the rest of the second part yet of the interview. But overall, so far, from the first part that I did listen to while I was doing something while I was creating a character on one of my PS4 games, and some of the second part are very informative. So I would suggest go to Midnight Edge's YouTube page, check out these first two parts of the interview, because it's really informative. And whether or not you like, whether or not you like Ken Penders, you know, it is a very informative interview. It actually, like I said, it actually lets you know more about what was going on behind the scenes than you thought you knew about before. And then you thought you let on and said, "Oh, I know what happened. I've read the stuff." It actually lets you know a little bit more than that. So, again, check it out. I think it'll be worth your time. Like I said, check it out. It'll be worth your time. It's very informative. I'll put it that way. Very informative. And whether or not you like him, hey, again, you might find some of the things interesting, like finding out about things you thought you knew, but maybe you didn't know the whole story about. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say on the Ken Penders interview that was recently done with Midnight Edge on Midnight Edge's YouTube page. Check it out. Only the first two parts are up. The third part will be released. I just don't know when. So anyway. All right. So anyway, let's move on to the number 3 topic here. And it's something I talked about last night or late yesterday afternoon when I got off work. And that is about customers. And the topic here at number 3 is entitled Customers Needing to Understand That Employees/Associates/Managers are doing the best they can, are doing their best to serve them. Yeah, customers needing to understand that employees/associates/managers are doing the best to serve them. Okay, so why do I want to talk about this again? Just real quickly, or well, hopefully real quickly. Well, it's real simple. I know there's a lot of us here that work at various jobs, whether it's like where I work, which is Walmart, or it's a place or it's a place where you might work, like a Target or a Kohl's, or even you work in a regular restaurant, like let's say a Johnny Caruso's or a Buffalo Wild Wings or whatever, or you work at the mall. you know, or you look at some of these new Toys R Us locations within the mall or outside of it. You know, here's the thing that customers need to say, and I need to understand, and I say this with all due respect. As I say there in the description, for the title of the third topic, we as associates, and employees and even managers, we're doing the best we can to serve them. Like I mentioned yesterday, they have to understand that we can't, be everywhere at once. It's not like we could split ourselves in two and go, just just tear ourselves in two, go like, there's my twin. Go help on that register. Okie dokie, original. Do. We can't do that. We can't do that, and they need to understand that. They need to understand that. We cannot just rip ourselves in two, as one of my managers told a customer yesterday, or split ourselves in two just to help out, because it's not, when reality doesn't allow that to happen. They need to understand that. What they also need to understand is technology has advanced to the point that what we're trying to do is basically show them that, hey, you want to get out of here quickly, or you want to shop without a problem? Hey, guess what? There's various other options of doing it. Like, you can go online. Like, I'm on my computer right now, right? Doing this live stream. They can, they can go online and basically shop online, and shop and ask to have the, groceries or the items delivered to them, right then and there. They can ask for, their items to be delivered to their home right then and there, or they could pay for their items online, and if the store's close to them, they could just drive up there and pick it up without a problem. They don't have to worry about any lines. But they don't do that. They refuse not to realize that. And that's what's and that's what's crazy about this. That's what's crazy about this whole situation. You know, it's it's just one of these situations to where customers need to understand that we're doing our best to serve them. And like I said, you got advantages, like I said, the online shopping, where you could have the stuff delivered to your home, or you can go pick it up. Or nowadays we have what's known as the checkout with me. And what's the checkout with me? Well, it's real simple. You could take something like this. Let's say this is what we call the Palm, which is a store version of an Android, made that's developed for store use only. Let's say you have a Palm, and then let's say, let's say the thing is connected to the back here. This is like the card reader, right? Let's say you have the Palm, and you see somebody with a Palm, a device in their hands that's like this, or the basically, pulling a little basket or whatever that has this in there and this in their hands. That right there is a signal, ladies and gentlemen, or a sign that, oh, that person has a checkout device. I can check out right there. I don't have to worry about standing in line. And that's what you could do. That's what they can do. They could go to that person, say, oh, I want to check out with you. And with the exception of possibly some produce that needs to be weighed, that being the only exception, everything else is not off limits. Even cigarettes and alcohol, not off limits. And all they would have to do is allow the person to go click, click, click. And then after it's all said and done, and everything, after it's all said and done, they confirm it with a check. They confirm it by pressing checkout on the bottom. And then on the other side, it shows the price and the total, or the total of the overall growth. It shows the total of the overall purchase, I should say. And then they just press OK, or you press OK. which is the button below the OK LED wording. Easy for me to say. I'm trying to describe this best I can. But basically, you press OK, or they press OK. Then you have them insert the card. Then they put in their the code, or they choose to go credit, and then it okays it. And the next thing you know, they could have something like this. Like, let's say this is the printer. Out comes your receipt, or they have the option of us saying, okay, do you want the print? You want the print? You want your printer receipt? You want it by email, or you want it by text? So if more than likely you want the receipt, boom, just press OK on it, or just press finalize. Out comes the receipt, or they choose text. Okay, choose text, finalize. You get the idea. Basically, stuff like this is advancements like that are trying to help people are being introduced to help customers' lives be easier, so they don't have to wait in line. But they don't seem to understand that. Heck, we even have the self-checkouts with freaking belts. Yeah, the grocery belts that you would see at a regular register, we have those as well. And they don't seem to understand that. They don't. They don't understand. Oh, they got somebody here. They got somebody here. But yet they're not doing anything about it. They're not doing anything about it. It's like they got somebody here. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, I was just reading something there. But basically, we have the belts on both sides. We have a grocery belt, just like we do a regular register for self-checkout, along with the various individual ones that are in what's called the bullpen. Anyway, long story short, you think people will realize, oh, there's these belts, and hey, there's this customer here, and instead of thinking that customer's not doing anything for you, guess what? That customer, not customer, but that associate will be more than willing, or employee or whatever, will be more than willing to help you with your groceries or with your purchase if you're sort of new to self-checkout. They will help you. That's what I'm trying to get at. They will help you. And again, this is all part of advancement in technology and trying to make customer service a lot easier for the customer. We're not trying to make things hard or anything like that, or we're not trying to avoid situations. Basically, we're trying to make things better for the customer. Again, that's why, we have things like the portable checkout devices. It's why we have the self-checkout belts and bullpens, if you will, where you can go in and do it yourself, and if you need help, just ask us. And this is why we also have online. Here's why a lot of them do. Well, you could choose to either pay for it online at home, and possibly while you're still in your jammies, and then later on go pick it up when they let you know it's ready to be picked up, or you have it delivered. And some people just don't seem to get that. They don't seem to get that. And I get it. Look, I get the whole, oh, well, we don't trust technology because it's going to take over people's jobs, and that shouldn't be. Look, we get that. I understand that. A lot of us do. But you know what? It's a part of life. Things are not always going to remain the same. Things are not always going to be as they used to be. And I'll be honest with you. I see older customers, and I say this with all due respect, older customers, some senior citizens, that they will come in at a time when they should know by now, being in their various times, that it's going to probably get busy, and we're probably going to have long lines no matter what the circumstance. They need to realize that we have these other areas for them to, check out at. and that we have associates there willing to help. We have associates there willing to help, and we don't have them there just standing around doing nothing. We have them helping people. We do. We have a device. Again, we have one of those other store use Android devices that we put on our wrist, and it makes a ting. It goes bing, and it lets us know, okay, I got to go over to that self checkout to help somebody out. It lets us know. It lets us know. And the thing is, customers need to understand that. Customers should not be angry at the fact of, oh, well, you should have more cashiers, or you should have all these lanes open. Da, 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 da. Look, we're doing what we can. Where I work and various other places, are doing what they can. They can't just be like, okay, they can't just go on the intercom and go like, okay, everybody on the sales floor, if you know how to cashier, here, drop what you're doing right now, even though you're supposed to be finishing it, and come up and fill out all, and come on up onto these registers, turn on all the lights for the registers, and let's get these lines down. I mean, yes, they could do that, because one of the things at my job is we go, code Spark. Can we have all registered trained associates to the front? Code Spark. And if they don't come up, it's because either they have to focus on the task they have assigned to them right then and there, or they're on break, or they're on lunch. You can't just expect them to go on the break, and not even a few minutes on the break, they get called up to the front. You can't expect them to be on lunch when they clock out of lunch, which is one of the times they have to clock out, to suddenly get on a register when they can't do it because they're not on the clock. The point is, customers, especially senior citizens, need to understand things are changing. Customers from out of country or out of state need to understand things are changing. Things can't just be the way you want them. I mean, yes, there is an old saying of the customers come first. I get that. And that's what we're trying to focus on. But the thing is, we can't focus on them if we don't have the people to do it. If we don't have the people to do it. I mean, right now, there is no doubt in my mind, it's about what? 2:42? It's probably freaking busy. Well, maybe not as busy since it's Wednesday, but it's probably semi-busy to the point that they're dealing with that right now. And I'm not there to help because I'm off, and they can't call me in because that would be overtime. And right now, when they should be focusing on giving overtime, they can't. And again, this goes back to what I said yesterday, and I've said before. I think the whole reason for the shortage of hours is due to the fact that it's tax season, and they want to basically balance out the books before they get the taxes filed, so that when everything is said and done and everything is filed away tax-wise, that's when they can open up the gates to say, okay, let's bring you guys back on board, give you more hours back. When you say that no overtime is allowed, that kind of is a sign that, yeah, financially they're doing something because it's that time of year. And it could also be the stock exchange for all we know. Could be the stock exchange for all we know. The point is, guys, there's nothing we can really do. There isn't. As much as, how do I put this? As much as we would like to make things a lot smoother, if you will, and go a lot faster for you, for the customers, guys, as much as we like to make things go a lot smoother and faster, we can't. Because there are going to be customers that are ahead of them that are going to have different variations of payment. And what I mean by that is there will be people that will have that will have the EBT cards. There will be people that want to do the multiple payment route. And there will be people that have what's known as WIC, W-I-C, WIC, that's, they will utilize to pay for the groceries. And I know people are thinking, well, WIC's got that card out now, right? Not everywhere. Not everywhere. I think next month or April is when we're getting it here in my neck of the woods. And yeah, that's going to make things a lot faster. But right now, a lot of people are still going the paper route. And even when the card officially becomes available in my neck of the woods, people are still going to be doing paper routes or going the paper route because that's what they have to finish up before they get the card. At least that's what I'm thinking. The point is, we're not trying to make things hard or anything. We're trying to make things easier, which is why, they tell us to go out into the action alley, the front end action alley. If we see a line, and if we're on the self checkouts, go, hey, hey, the grocery side or pharmacy side self checkouts are open. If you don't have cigarettes or alcohol, they want us to make it easier for the people. And yeah, some people do arrive there and ask if we can help them out because they might be new to it, and we say, yeah, we can help you out. And some of those people that do show up and take a chance on it with our help are older people because they see, oh, wait a minute, there is no line. I can get out quick. Simple as that. But then there are others that don't do that, and they just stand in line even if they're not getting cigarettes or they have alcohol. All because why? What? Because you're more used to something just went off there, guys. Yeah, Frank Hill, I did see the interview. Well, at least most of the first part. Anyway, getting back on topic, guys. Getting back on topic. Basically, we're doing what we can to help them. And like I said, there are some older people that will take a chance with our help because they see, oh, okay, maybe I can get out faster. But yet there are those that don't do that, and they stand in line, and even though they just have a few items, they know they can get out faster with what we're suggesting. They stand in line, and for what? What if they're not getting cigarettes or alcohol, or they don't have alcohol? Then why? Why are they standing in line? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Because in my honest opinion, there are customers out there. It doesn't matter if it's where I work. It doesn't matter if it's where someone like Zara Nizarak, Sean McLean works. Doesn't matter. The point, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where anybody works, or any kind of retail, or whatever. People will, customers, even though you can present to them an option that's obvious from the get-go. It's obvious from the get-go to make things easier for them. They will not take that option. And why? Because they'd rather stand in line and basically come up with a reasoning as to why they were in line when they could have easily been out the door just like that, even if they just had a few items. And again, this goes back to what I said. People will stand in line even if they're not getting cigarettes or alcohol, all because of the fact that they just want to possibly use an excuse to complain and say, oh, well, this was slow and da, 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 da. And it's like, look, we know what you're trying to do. We see what you're trying to do. What do you want us to do? Huh? We're showing you all these other opportunities you have to check out. God, it's like people need to understand we're doing the best we can. And we can't really do with what we don't have. That's just the honesty about it. We cannot do with what we don't have. If we don't have the people available to us to be there when we need them, because either they were scheduled to come in early and leave early, or they're not scheduled to be in till way later, then what can we do? What can we do? I mean, it's like I said yesterday. Over the past several weeks, we've had various customers complain because they don't understand. Yesterday, we had one lady. She's like, why aren't you serving customers? Why don't you have more belts open and all that? And she said, what's the manager? I want to talk to the manager. The manager. And I'm like, and I'm trying to explain. I'm trying not to avoid trouble, okay? So I said, we're trying. And they said, well, what's the manager? What's the manager? What's the manager? And I point to one of the CSMs, customer service manager, that just came in. And this lady is literally just getting on her. And she had just come in. And thankfully she held her tongue. And she's like, she held her temper. She held her tongue. Thank God for that. But she's like, ma'am, I can't split myself in two. We're doing the best we can. That's basically what she said. And the lady's like, oh, well, you're not doing the best. Well, you're not doing the best you can. Or something like that. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, and here's the thing. It seems that this lady, okay, look, this lady obviously was tired because she just got off from working at a Chevron. How do I know? She still had a uniform on with this Chevron emblem on the side. She just got off work. So apparently she's tired, she's grouchy, she doesn't want to be in line. I get that. But don't take it out on anybody else. Don't try to, I wouldn't say kiss up, but don't try to sort of like be nice at the end, or at least be a little understanding at the end of, no, it's not your fault or something like that. Look, you need to understand we're doing what we can. And then on top of that, 2 days ago, get this. 2 days ago, I'm on, I think, was it register 5 or 6? And a guy in the back of my line looks at me and says, well, you're going to open, more lanes or what? I'm on a freaking register working. What am I supposed to do? And then last week, I think, we had another customer. She's been in there before. She's complained before about this. Our support, our CSM/OGP online grocery pickup, for OGP for short, which is, like I said, online grocery pickup. Our CSM/OGP manager mentions to our assistant manager, that is who this lady is, because they've dealt with her before. This lady knows who our assistant manager is, who she's talking to. And yeah, no kidding, Double B Bugs. And that's a guy going by the name Bugs Bunny, not the real character. But yeah, people do need to be patient. But again, you have this one older lady who they've dealt with before, and is talking to our assistant manager, I guess, for a second or third time, because she said, oh, I've talked to you before. And basically it's complaining about the fact that we need more people. Like, we're not doing our jobs. And then about a week or so ago, I'm just getting off work. And I go through register, and I go through the aisle, and I go through the, I guess you could say, the alleyway, or the register path, if you will, between register 1 and 2. And this older lady says, are those registers open? And I say, no. She says, and what are they? I said, they're managers. She says, well, aren't they supposed to be helping? They're supposed to be helping people. And I said, and I'm trying to avoid trouble. I said, well, they're doing the jobs. And I think I said something like, they're doing the job or something. And she said, well, they're not doing the job. They're not helping. They're not on the registers. Basically, when it gets down to it, folks, there are people. And then before I get into that, here's something else. That same week, after I'm off work, and I'm doing a little shopping with my mom because she's coming in to take care of some stuff, to get some stuff, they call on the intercom. Because here's the thing that Deli has to do. I think it's Deli. They have to say, attention, Walmart customers, come, do this, do that. Like, attention, Walmart associates, can blah, 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 come to the back, or blah, blah, blah. Or Attention customers, try one of our Nathan hot dogs for $1.25. Da da da, whatever. So they do stuff like that, right? So after one of those announcements is made, a customer waiting in one of the lines goes like, "Oh, why can't you?" Decides to mock what the little announcement by parodying it, I guess you could say, by saying, "Oh, why don't you open no more registers?" It's like I tell you guys, they just don't understand. It's beyond our control. They want to take it up. Here's what they need to do. And it's not just my job or my company, but it's anybody else's jobs and companies that are going through the same stuff. If they got a problem, take it up with region. Take it up with the regional people. Tell the regional people, hey, that store in such and such town is supposed to be the biggest store around or in your region, right? Then why is it short on customers? Or why is it short on workers and all that? You should have your workers in there all the time. Do you understand it? That is blah, 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 or whatever. And I know I just sounded ridiculous there. I do apologize. But basically, that's what they need to do. They need to take it up with the regional people. Don't take it up with us as associates, /employees, or managers. Take it up with the regional people. Take it up with the people above us or above them if you want to. You know why? Because you take it to them and you mention what's going on, then maybe something can get done. Because right now, what they need to understand is the possible legit reason, okay? The possible legit reason why there is a shortage of people right now is because it's one of two things, possibly both. It's tax season and the stock market. That's why things are changing or things are happening. Because financially, when it comes to tax season, you want to balance your books before you file your taxes. And if cutting hours is a way of doing that, then so be it. But if it's the stock exchange, ladies and gentlemen, then guess what? The stock exchange is fluctuating up and down. You don't know when it's going to be good or bad, good or bad, good or bad. So that's going to cause a reaction, a chain reaction. And that chain reaction, unfortunately, is people having to have their hours cut. And that's about it. Them having their hours cut. That's about it. And again, these people need to understand it. And hello, Kedin. But they need to understand this. We're trying our best to help them. I mean, how would you feel if if you work for, let's say, a Johnny Carino's, which is a restaurant, or a Buffalo Wild Wings, or if it's still around, a Sizzler or Red Lobster or whatever. How would you feel knowing that, okay, we just got a big old rush. We're low on staff right now because some people are scheduled not to be uh, in that day, or they were, but they got off early because they were scheduled to. You know, you know what, what do the customers expect you to do, knowing that, oh, okay, let's say you work at a Red Lobster. All of a sudden, you have a whole family during this rush hour saying, "Oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this." She wants that. He wants this. She wants that. Da 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 da. Da. And you say, "Okay, fine. Here you go. You bring them your drinks, whatever." But then, when you finally bring them the food, they complain, and they're like, "Oh, what took so long? You're supposed to be fast here." And it said, "Sir, we're short on staff. We're doing the best we can." So it's like you just can't reason with them. and especially a hospital. Yeah, I get that. Sometimes, if you're short on staff in a hospital, especially if people have various appointments, then yeah, there's not really much you could do. Emergency wise, yeah, you need to probably get in contact with people, no doubt about that. But it's like, what do you expect people to do? You say, what do people, what I'm trying to say is, what do people expect you to do if you don't have the people there? I mean, they need to understand we're doing the best we can to help them. Heck, my mom recently just had an appointment. Speaking of doctors, hospitals, if you will. Yeah, I understand that. I'm sorry if I misinterpreted that. Uh, but what I'm saying is, my mom recently had an appointment, a doctor's appointment, via phone. And the reason she had this via phone was because she wanted to know how to deal with what possibly was a sinus infection she had got because she's just getting over a cold. And the doctor suggested she take cortisone 10. And if and hopefully she'll feel better within the next several days. And she is sounding a lot better. Heck, she's starting to drink a little bit more coffee than she was able to previously. The point is, though, my mom was able to have a doctor's appointment on the phone, and and get the information she needed, get the prescription she needed, or whatever you want to call it, and she was done. She didn't have to drive to a Kaiser there in Livermore. She got it done on the phone, just like that. And sometimes, depending on the situation, depending on the situation, something like that makes it a lot easier. And that's what we're trying to get across to customers. That a lot of things are changing to where now that the technology that we're advancing into is allowing you to make things is allowing us to make things easier for you as a customer. You want to try to find a certain item, guess what? You go on your store's app, you type in that item, and it'll show you the aisle and the category that it's related to and the aisle that it's in. Simple as that. Point is, down the line, customers need to understand we're doing the best we can, and we have all these other opportunities and advantages for them to take to help them out, make things easier. But still, they just don't get it. They expect us. They expect us to do what we can't. It's like my CSM said yesterday. She can't split herself in two. We, as a team, cannot split ourselves in two. I mean, I was running back and forth with the bullpen and the belts yesterday on the grocery side because we were short. We didn't have many people scheduled. I can only imagine what's going on right now. Like I said, I can only imagine what's going on right now. So these people need to understand we're doing the best we can. Things are changing, whether they like it or not, and it's time for them to acknowledge that. We get some people are used to things being a certain way, but guess what? Things don't always stay the same. And that's the reality of it. So, anyway, with that said, though, guys, let's get on to the next topic here. It's the fourth topic, and that is the government strikes again when it comes to taking folks' hard earned tax return or refund away from them when they shouldn't. Okay, guys, so here's what I mean. Here's why I'm talking about this, okay? So basically, just Alex, aka Deluxe Man, aka Deluxe Man, just Alex, formerly known, or FKA, formerly known as Deluxe Man. Recently, recently came out and announced that his tax refund, which was going to be obviously a big tax refund, had been taken away from him. Yeah, his tax refund was taken away from him. So, so what do I mean by that? Okay, so you know when you do a refund or you do a when you do your taxes, most of the time, depending on certain situations, you're guaranteed a return, a refund from both the state and the federal. Am I right? I'm right, right? Am I right? Yeah. So anyway, you're always promised a return some way, somehow. You're going to get a return in some scenario, no matter what. Well, Alex thought this massive return he was going to get from the federal, I think it was the federal, was going to really help him out, right? I mean, who wouldn't want the amount that he was getting? Unfortunately, just Alex didn't get that return or that refund. Why? Because apparently he owed a college debt, and they decided, oh, you want this, Alex? Were you expecting this, Alex? Sorry, it's going over here to pay for your debt. Sorry. And it's money he could have used. It's money that he could have used. And yet they took it away from him to pay a college debt. You know, I know just Alex isn't the only one that's dealt with this. I know many others have dealt with it and are currently dealing with it. And you know what? I'm one of them. Yeah. Last year, I was supposed to get a decent amount back on my federal. That didn't happen. That didn't happen because of the fact that my Social Security decided to take it away. All because I owe a certain amount. All because I owe a certain amount to Social Security. And they took my refund, my federal one, and used that to pay back part of my bill, as they call it, my Social Security bill. And what's funny is they usually give you a timeline, especially when it comes to direct deposit for your return. Well, I got my state return. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to get my federal. That's going to help out. Nope. That didn't. Because it went to Social Security. Here's what's interesting about this. Yes, I understand that when you work at a job full time or part time or whatever, you need to report your wages. I get that. But the illusion, not just the illusion, but what's the word I'm looking for? I guess you could say illusion or whatever. Yeah, I'll just put illusion. But the illusion that I was getting was they already knew. Social Security, excuse me, there, they already knew. They knew I was working. They knew that basically I was employed. They knew that. They knew that I was working at my job. But they would inform me. They would say, because of this, you're going to get this now. Because of these hours, you're going to be earning this now. Because you're working these hours, you're going to get this every third of the month. Well, they decide to end all that. Because they decide they're going to add in these new rules that state you can't work a certain amount of hours, because if you do, you lose everything. And I was under the impression, that's the word I was looking for. I was under the impression that, yeah, benefits would stop if you worked a certain amount of hours, but then after a while got restored. And yeah, maybe it was partially my fault, but still, I was under the impression and the illusion that they knew, that they already knew. But apparently it wasn't enough for them. Even when I would call them up and try to say, hey, what's going on here? It's like, it's just something just didn't seem right. Something didn't add up. So anyway, long story short, I had my money taken away. And what's funny is they don't intend to tell you. They don't intend to tell you until a few weeks later. That's when they send you a notice and say, "Oh, by the way, you know that federal you were supposed to get? We took it away from you and basically added it. We basically used it to pay off part of your debt." You know what's funny? It's someone that me and my mom do our taxes with every year, or at least try to. This person recently came back from I guess you could say, a leave of absence, kind of take a mental break. And she even said that they shouldn't have done that. And it's like, if she's saying they shouldn't have done that, then something's up. Now, I did look online and I read up the information because I was waiting and waiting, thinking, come on, I should have gotten my federal back by now, right? So I looked it up online. It wasn't that long ago. There's this new ruling went into the works, became operational. But put it that way, became a reality. And you know what? Out of all the decisions the government can make, good ones, bad ones, debatable ones, this is probably one of the dumbest ones. Tax season is supposed to be about paying back the people, paying them back for the hard work. And yet you decide, without informing them first and foremost, to take away the money to pay off debt, to pay off a debt. That is probably the biggest load of BS I've ever heard. And you know what? Something needs to be done, and I hope to God, this governor that we have here in California listens to the people and says, you know what? We're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to take away people's hard-earned money or hard-earned tax refunds to pay off something that they could easily pay off on their own at their own pace. I hope our governor here in California listens to the people. I hope our president, whether you like the guy or you don't, listens and says, you know what? This is not going to happen anymore. People do not need to lose their money. And the fact that when people are in between jobs and they financially could use that money from their tax refund and it's taken away, that is the biggest load of BS anywhere. Biggest load. And it needs to change. It needs to change. It needs to come to an end. Because like I said, people do not work their butts off a whole year, to file their taxes, hoping they're going to get something in return, only to have it taken away. That is a load of BS. And the government, IRS, social, college, system, whatever, they know that. This needs to change. Let the people at their own pace pay off their debts. Don't take it into your own hands without letting them know something's going to happen. Especially if it happens weeks after. Especially if that notification comes weeks after. Because it's a load. It's a load of BS. And I hope Alex gets something in return. I hope just Alex gets something in return. Because you know what? They should have let him know what was going to happen before it happened. It's a bunch of BS, and it needs to end. Anyway, though, with that said, let's move on to our fifth topic. And our fifth topic is, should movie/TV/animation studios, along with fighting promotions like UFC, WWE, etc., and video game studios, listen to their fans? In other words, should they listen to those that pay the salary of their employees or even themselves? Should they listen to the people, to those that pay hard-earned money to watch their stuff on the big screen, attend their events at an arena, or publish digitally or physically their game to play at home or on the road? Should they listen to the fans? I say absolutely. You know why? Because the fans are the reason they have a job. Fans are the reason they can make a paycheck. Fans are the reason that they can keep their companies afloat and continue to make more games on the side. They need to listen to the fans. And it's the same with movies and television studios and all that. We're the reasons that you guys have that money to be able to produce this content and show it to the world. You need to give us what we want. And the same with fighting promotions like UFC, WWE, AEW, the WBO, the IBF. We pay hard-earned money to go see your events live. You need to give us what we want, what we ask for. That's basically the most obvious answer. You want to be a success, you give the people what they want. Take a look what Paramount did with the Sonic movie. They could have easily said, nah, we're not going to listen to you. The Sonic design's fine. We're going to release it in November because that's best for business. No. They listened to the fans. They did the right thing, and look at the result. Look at it. And you know what the studios are doing? They're thanking the fans for speaking up. And every other film studio, television studio, animation studio needs to do the same thing. They need to listen to the fans. If the fans say, you know what, if you do this and you go in that direction with it, it'll be great. So that's obviously what they need to do. They need to listen to their fans. They need to listen to them. Same with fighting promotions. If Dana White listens to his fans and say, okay, what kind of championship match you want the next UFC pay-per-view? And they could say, oh, we want McGregor against the current champion right now, title, in a big title match. And let's see if McGregor could become champion again. Then you give it to them. You don't say, oh, well, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm going to go in this direction. No, you say, okay, you guys want that? You got it, because you're the ones paying our salaries. Heck, even WWE and AEW and MLW and Japan and all of them can learn from that. Give the fans what they want. If the fans, let's say WWE, because a lot of people complain about them, and the fans say, oh, well, we want Seth Rollins against Ricochet in a 60-minute Iron Man match where the first fall comes within the last 20 minutes. Ooh, what a match that will be. Give it to us. Instead of saying, oh, that sounds like a good idea, but we're going to do this instead. But we're going to go in this direction instead. No, instead of saying, oh, that sounds like a good idea, but we're going to go in this direction instead, you go, oh, you want that? Then you got it. Next week on Monday Night Raw, Ricochet against Seth Rollins, 60-minute Iron Man match where the first fall will come within the last 20 minutes because that's what you want. It'll be uninterrupted. That's what you do. You give the people what they want because they pay the salary. They pay the salary. That's what you do. You follow through and give them what they want. You know, you take a look at AEW. AEW with this Cody MJF storyline is giving the fans what they want. They're giving them a storyline that's going to culminate with something that's going to happen this, what is it, Saturday in Chicago on the outskirts of it? And who knows what they're going to go with. I mean, obviously what the fans want is for Cody to beat the heck out of MJF. But is that going to happen? We don't know. The point is, if the people are willing to spend money to see your event live in person, or they're willing to spend money to go and watch your movie on the big screen and then later on buy it on Blu-ray, digital, whatever, to watch it home anytime they want, and the same with buying a game or whatever, then in appreciation and appreciation and thanks, you give them what they want. That's the most logical thing to do. Anyway, that's about it for the fifth topic. And now let's go on to our sixth and final topic. And our sixth and final topic is fans taking the future of a franchise or any part of it into their hands to help continue for many years to come. Yes, fans basically taking the future of a franchise or any part of it into their hands to help continue for many years to come. Okay, guys, so in case you don't know what that means, basically a lot of fans are taking it upon themselves to continue the legacy of a lot of established AIPs that are out there. They're taking it upon themselves to continue it in their own unique way. A great prime example of this. A great prime example of this, ladies and gentlemen, is Team Season. That's SEA3ON. That's SEA numeral 3 ON. And they, ladies and gentlemen, they have taken it upon themselves with the help of other fans through Patreon, on an Indiegogo, I believe, but mostly Patreon. They've taken it upon themselves to continue where the original Sonic SatAM cartoon series left off. Well, Ben Hurst, God rest his soul, wanted to continue from the very beginning. This is a prime example because what they are doing, ladies and gentlemen, what they are doing, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, is they are taking the ideas, some of the ideas that Ben Hurst had for the third season, and they are running with it. They are showing WIPs, works in progress. They are showing some animation clips, vocally based and what or not. Just giving you an overall idea, and even behind the scenes vocal work, giving you guys an overall idea of what to expect. And this is all from a fan's perspective. And this is all being done with the love overall, and this is being done overall by the fans, by the fans themselves. So yeah, basically this is all being done by the fans themselves. And that is what's great about it. That is what's great about it. It's all being done by the fans themselves. And it's not just something like Sonic's at AM. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is still, is a great example of this as well. It's been a great example over the past, even during the run of the animated series on Discovery Family, it's had this. We've had fan art, we've had fan SFM, CGI, shorts, moments, you name it. We've had 2D flash animations like Sonic, like Double Rainbow. We've had the recent Days Gone By. We just had the how to become a prince, or how to act like a princess deal. We've had a lot of this stuff. I've had a lot of this My Little Pony stuff popping up, and it's all fan made. It's all fan made. And if you want a good example of fans continuing to keep the existence of a popular IP alive, again, My Little Pony is a good example. Go to ministryofimage.com, and you will see a peripheral of books. Yes, when you buy them, when you buy them online, they get sent by Russia, and the shipping tax is about 20 something bucks on top of the price for the book. But still, basically, you go to ministryofimage.com, and you have a peripheral of novel-sized books, basically hardcover novel-sized books. Hardcover novel-sized books that have, an array of stories within them. They're an anthology of stories within these books, and these are fan-made. I mean, look behind me. You see these three, and then that one right there. Those pony figures, third party, but in a sense fan made. There are plushes that are as big as my desk that are fan made. The point is, fans are doing what they can to take the future of these IPs, no matter how they continue the legacy or keep them alive. They are doing whatever they can to really just preserve it and keep it around for generations and years to come. And that's a fact. Again, Team Season's a good example of this. Friendship is Magic with the various, flash animations and all that are a good example of this. The CGIs and all that are a good example of this. I mean, they have a Star Trek-like CGI SFM series that they're working on that's supposed to debut this year. It's like, what else more can you say? What else more can you say? It's like, it's one of those situations to where if fans want to see it, if fans want to see something happen, fans want to see something become a reality, they will make it they themselves will make it a reality. And if they have to go and get the help of other fans, free of charge or through Patreons or whatever, they will do it. Because they know that what they're planning to do will mean just as much to them, if not more, to those that they're asking to help contribute to. It's just one of those situations. It's just one of those situations where fans are taking these IPs and they're saying, you know what? But, if the main studios are not going to continue them, we'll continue them. If Hasbro or Allspark Animation ain't going to continue Friendship is Magic, we'll continue it. If Dick Entertainment, Cookie Jar Entertainment, whatever, is not going to continue, Sonic Sat AM, we'll do it. Stuff like that. It's like if they're not gonna, it's like on the pony side of things. People like Spike and Rarity being together. They want to see, and even though, as I've mentioned many times, the book is open to implication and uh, the book is open to implication and interpretation. Fans could easily go out there in Flash animation or whatever and say, we're putting Spike and Rarity together. End of story. And they will do it. And you know what's funny? I mentioned this before. Disney Fanatic, when she did she did Bride of Discord and then Daughter of Discord, these all taking place before season 4 and a little afterwards in a somewhat very identical, 90% identical alternate universe with a 10% exception. Disney Fanatic said, instead of Rarity and Spike, I'm going Applejack and Spike. And a lot of fans have gotten behind that because they think it's a good idea too. And there are some stories that they will do that with. The fact of the matter is, fans are going to take these IPs into their hands and they're going to say, you know what? You don't want to finish at Hasbro. You don't want to finish at Sega. We'll do it. And you know what? It'll be nonprofit. It'll be because we are passionate about these shows, these characters, and we want to see it continue in some shape, form, or fashion. That's why you have the fans doing it. So you have the fans taking these IPs, these franchises into their own hands and taking the future of these franchises into their own hands to help them continue on for many years to come. So that's why they're doing it. That's why you see these, web comics, these web animations and all that. It's because the fans, they want to see it continue. And if they have to do it themselves, they will. But anyway, though, that's about it. That's pretty much about it for all 6 topics here on today's edition of Topics on My Mind. All right, for today, the 26th of February, 2020, we are 3 days out of this month being over. But that's about it, guys. Let me know what you all thought down below in the comment section if you're going to be watching this post-live stream. Thank you for everybody that did join me in the live chat. Really appreciate it. And I am out. You all have a good day. God bless and take care.